1. Introduction, why this versus matters. 2. Gigantopithecus, size, fossils and mystery. 3. The gorilla, the giant of today. 4. Legends and myths inspired by Gigantopithecus. 5. Comparative stats, size and strength. 6. Weaponry and bite force. 7. Agility and environment. 8. Predators and threats. 9. Hypothetical encounter scenarios. 10. Verdict. I love them, and you're fascinated by versus games. Therefore, today we'll pit Gigantopithecus against the gorilla. One is the largest extinct primate species of all time, with an enormous size capable of deterring the fiercest predators of the Pleistocene. The other is the representative of the largest primates in modern times. Ready to find out which of these two titans is more likely to win this match? Here are two possible outcomes to see if you can guess the verdict. Welcome to the hidden world. Make yourself comfortable, and let's begin. Considered one of the largest known apes to have ever existed, it lived in Asia during the Pleistocene, approximately between 9 million and 100,000 years ago. The main fossils were found in China, mainly in caves and sediment deposits, in the 1930s. However, due to the lack of available fossil material, much remains unknown about its actual anatomy. The most reliable estimates are that it may have measured between 2 and 3 m tall and weighed between 200 and 500 kilograms, comparable to the size of a giant gorilla. However, due to the incomplete nature of the fossil remains, these estimates are subject to debate, with possible weights close to a ton and even below 230 kilograms. Its diet was herbivorous, feeding primarily on fruits, leaves, stems, and insects. A diet very similar to that of the gorilla, but its enormous size suggests that it required large amounts of food to meet its energy needs, consuming up to 3 times more food than a large gorilla. Still, its closest living relative is the orangutan, which diverged from its common ancestor only about 10 million years ago. Although the cause of the extinction of Gigantopithecus is unknown, several theories have been proposed, the most prominent being climate change, an ice age that began just over 100,000 years ago. The ice age led to the reduction of its natural habitat, tropical forests, thereby generating increased competition with other herbivorous mammals. This enormous animal disappeared from the face of the Earth approximately 100,000 years ago, proving that in evolution, bigger is not always better. The gorilla is the largest primate in the world in modern times. Living in the tropical rainforests of Central Africa, the largest can reach up to 185 m with a standard weight of 130 to 180 kilograms. Considering some exceptions of males that have managed to exceed 200 kilograms in the wild, we can find the following subspecies: the western gorilla, the cross river gorilla, the mountain gorilla, and the eastern gorilla. Curiously, given its imposing stature and the mysteries surrounding its existence, Gigantopithecus has been the subject of speculation and has inspired the creation of myths and legends about giant creatures in different cultures around the world. Among them, we can see the following. Bigfoot, the most commonly used name in the United States and Canada, is derived from the English word Bigfoot, referring to the large footprints recorded since the beginning of the 20th century. Sasquatch, this name comes from the legends of the First Nations of the West Coast, Canada, and the northeastern United States. It was adapted from the word Sizit, which in the Native American language means wild man. Yeti, also known as the abominable snowman, is a figure similar to Bigfoot in the mythologies of the Himalayas and nearby regions of Asia, the former habitat of the Gigantopithecus. Squinape. This name is used in some parts of the southeastern United States, especially Florida. The name is believed to come from the unpleasant odor that some witnesses claim to have detected near the creature's presence. Mapinguari. This mythological creature originates from the Brazilian Amazon and other regions of South America, where many stories about these creatures describe an animal similar to Bigfoot, with only one eye and a mouth on its belly. Let's get to the real deal. Size. Studies of the teeth and jaws found on Gigantopithecus indicate that some individuals could reach up to 3 m in height and weigh about 500 kilograms. Although its official morphology is unclear, we'll use this one, which most closely resembles that of the orangutan, doubling its rival's weight. Now, I present the perfect statistical system with which we'll measure aspects such as strength, armament, agility, and more. All this with the aim of determining the real threat level of the opponents. Let's start with strength. Both animals possess enormous strength, the greatest feat of a gorilla being the ability to theoretically lift a weight of up to 2 tons and a minimum of 500 kilograms. But the Gigantopithecus certainly wouldn't be far behind, due to its size and the fact that on more than one occasion it surely had to climb a robust tree to reach its food. Add to this the fact that most wild primates since primitive times have a higher concentration of white muscle fibers, i.e., muscles developed for strength, also known as fast-twitch fibers. This is due to a lower amount of myoglobin in the muscle, a protein responsible for storing oxygen, giving meat its bright reddish color. Considering the proportion of fast-twitch fibers in the orangutan, if both animals were the same size, the gorilla would be almost twice as strong as the Gigantopithecus, giving it very good hopes in this versus, despite its enormous size disadvantage. Weaponry. Both animals are capable of crushing one of nature's strongest plants, bamboo, requiring a pressure of 13 psi to feed on this plant for part of the day. But due to its larger skull, it is most likely that the Gigantopithecus could have bitten with greater force, having a highly developed sagittal crest, which indicates large temporal muscles essential for bite force. Now, the span of its limbs also tells us that it may have the advantage when delivering blows from a distance and with greater power. If we follow the model of the orangutan or even the gorilla, these animals not only bite, but also crush with their hands, throw the opponent, or strike with their hands. That's why we'll give them this score. In agility, it's believed that Gigantopithecus was a primarily terrestrial animal, adapted to consuming a large number of plants in tropical forests, but they may have also spent time in trees. Some theories suggest that it may have used its long, strong arms to move between trees, uprooting and manipulating large plants. Even so, if you're too heavy, something close to half a ton, you'll most likely lean on solid ground rather than the treetops. Therefore, it's fair to say that the gorilla would win in agility. Leopards can pose a serious threat to young or weakened gorillas, as gorilla remains have been found in the feces of these animals. However, there is no record of a leopard hunting a large gorilla. Gigantopithecus's predators would have been unmatched by felids as large as the South China tiger. They were similar in size to the modern South China tiger, but their metapodial bones were much more massive than any modern tiger, with a tiger weighing up to 320 kilograms. Being social animals, it is likely that small specimens such as unprotected cubs or females were the only victims of these beasts. Gigantopithecus, with its enormous size, thick bones, and more body fat, would have been more resistant to blows. Just imagine if this animal had been omnivorous like us, the amount of prey it would have been able to hunt. Despite their large size, gorillas are generally peaceful and have calm demeanors. However, they can display aggression if they feel threatened, especially if they are protecting their herd. Music. In a hypothetical encounter, the gorilla is intelligent enough to know that it is outnumbered, avoiding even the first contact. If the giant were to invade its territory, it would be completely humiliated by the 3 m tall Gigantopithecus, regardless of how strong an animal it may be. Survival will always be its priority. Therefore, if the confrontation takes place in a jungle area filled with enormous tree trunks strong enough to withstand the Gigantopithecus's weight, or if the gorilla were to knock it off a hill or a high enough cliff, the greater weight of the Gigantopithecus would be its doom when it hits the ground. If the confrontation takes place in a more open area, far from the safety of the trees where the gorilla takes cover, or worse, a dead-end canyon or a cave where the smaller one would have no escape route, its victory would be inevitable. Now that we have their points ready, we add up their averages and obtain their threat level, with the Gigantopithecus having the advantage. And thanks to decimals, we know it takes 3 gorillas to defeat him. That's why I've decided to declare the largest primate in history the winner of this encounter, with an 85% success rate. So, which titan do you think would win this battle? Tell us in the comments, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to Feral Fables to keep discovering the most amazing stories of the wild world.